You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's pay-per-view after show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's pay-per-view after show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to UFC AFTERBUZZ. My name is Kris, sitting next to Raven.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Daria, Baronato, in front of me, the beautiful, and of course, the one and only J10. Welcome, guys, to the show. We are fresh off the heels. It was just last night. UFC Fox Saturday night. What an event we saw. And we are here to recap everything. Unbelievable. First off, this was the first time ever for the UFC in Orlando, and they did not disappoint. This event was sold out for weeks. It was a jam-packed, sold-out show at the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. But let's start off. I want to start off with you, Daria, because I want to talk about Miesha Tate versus Liz Carmouche, and what a knockdown drag-out this was. I want to start talking about, but I'm going to let you do that.
All right. First of all, I want to say that Orlando was way overdue. I think having such a powerful team like American Top Teams down in South Florida, I mean, it was just perfect. And they had 5 of their guys there, so it was convenient. They went 5-0, 5 wins. I like that. All right, so Miesha Tate versus Liz Carmouche. The first round, Miesha admitted in the after press conference she was slow. She came out dragging, and she said it was because of her losses, her past 2 losses, Ronda Rousey. She came out so fired up, and she felt like she just got pushed back. So I give her leniency on that. I see what she was going for, but she just got trampled. There were so many takedowns, like we were saying when we were watching it earlier. I mean, she was just getting taken down. She was getting rubbed against the cage. She just completely dominated with Carmouche's ground game. She should have known that going in. She should have tried to stand up with her a little further.
Do you think Miesha was making too many cupcakes the night before or so?
I just had too many cupcakes outside.
Oh, yeah? I heard they were out there.
But no, she saved it a little bit in the second round. In the second round, the last minute, she completely dominated. She had the guillotine.
That's true.
She held her in the guillotine for, I think, for like the last 30 seconds. It was.
Oh, it's like a minute.
Yeah.
And give it up. I mean, a lot of people would have tapped on that one.
Yeah. No, I was waiting for it. I was like, it's over. It's over. Miesha Tate won. And then she got out of it. So, and then third round, she completely stole it. I mean, she was dominating. She got the rear naked choke at the end. So, I was happy with it. But like me and Jay were talking about earlier, it depends how you score these. Do you score them by time of domination or strength and obscurity of it? So it's like Miesha Tate had the most attempts, the most chances at finishing, but as far as time goes, Liz Carmouche dominated longer.
Yeah.
So
to fill in the blanks for everybody, Miesha Tate won by unanimous decision. I believe the scores were 29-28 across the board.
Yeah.
And so what generally, the general consensus is that, as Daria said, Liz won the first round. Second round, Liz dominated. She was on top. She had control for most of the round, but that last minute, a lot of fighters or people in the community will say that you can sometimes steal a round if you have a really good last half or last minute, because you're only talking about 2.5. Half of a round is 2.5 minutes. And then the third round was Miesha all the way. There was no question about that. So it comes down to how you look at the second round.
That second round.
Miesha's 1 minute definitely was more dominant in the threat of actually finishing the fight and finishing Liz than Liz's was for the first 3.5 minutes, I'd say. That's my opinion. So the question is, well, Liz dominated. She controlled most of that 5-minute round, but Miesha had a stronger last half. So did Miesha steal the round? In the eyes of the judges, yeah.
Well, you can listen to what Dana White said. He said we wouldn't have this problem, just make it a finish. A lot of people complained, it was too close. It should have been me. It should have been her. or him. And Dana White said at the post-press conference, he said, well, why don't you just finish it? We wouldn't have this issue.
Is that a solution you agree with? I mean, is that
No.
We can't go through the
Putting that
finish,
out there.
unfortunately.
I'm just
no,
putting that out there.
That's,
It's hard.
you know.
Well, I think
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Misha's probably going to have to come in here and defend her victory then.
Sure.
And bring some cupcakes.
Oh.
Because we love cupcakes.
We do.
Well, right now, I want to remind all our fans, not just for this show, but of all AfterBuzz shows, follow AfterBuzz on Twitter at AfterBuzz TV. Jay, the main event went the distance.
Yep.
Went the distance.
Which a lot of people didn't really think that was going to happen. Fabricio Werdum won a 5-round fight over Travis Hapa Browne, and what this was a number 1 contenders match for a shot at Cain Velasquez, the UFC heavyweight champion. I think a lot of people didn't expect it really to. They expected it at least to be a bit more competitive. Werdum went pretty much, I hate to use a cliche, dominated, as we've already run it out in the beginning of the show here, but it was Fabricio Werdum's fight pretty much all throughout. The scores were 50-45, 50-45, and 49-46. Now what that means is that 2 of the 3 judges scored the match, all 5 rounds of the match for Fabricio Werdum.
All judges.
2 of the 3 judges
2 of the
did.
3 judges, all 5 rounds.
And one of them scored the round 49-46. So one judge gave a round to Travis Browne.
Right.
I'm not sure which round that was, quite frankly. I had it 50-45 as well. Fabricio Werdum just really looked like in his element. You know, everything
better
was
than ever. Better than ever.
Everything was popping. For people that don't know, this guy's big claim to fame is that he finished a guy named Fedor Emelianenko, who was at one point the top pound-for-pound guy in the world, considered practically unbeatable.
What about the injury?
The injury. Which one?
They mentioned afterwards.
Well, yeah.
That,
That is an extra facet in the match itself, which you wouldn't have known watching the match. Travis Hapa Browne is a guy, former college basketball player that's really kind of one of the more up-and-coming young guns of the sport. He's from a newer generation, I'd say, and has had he's been on a blazing trail leading up to this fight, and I'm sure we'll see him pick up again afterwards. He just wasn't getting off like he normally does. He looked sluggish and tired midway into the first round for the rest of the match. Later on, after the press conference, it was announced that people thought that he might have broken his rib, also suffering from a broken hand early in the match. That would certainly explain things a lot. Whether that did or didn't play a factor, is a question that only he would know. But conventionally speaking, that would explain a lot. So, we didn't get to see the back and forth, even keel match, in explosives that we thought we were going to see. Right. But that said, Werdum just looked, like I said, in his element. He looked fantastic. All cylinders were popping. And Hapa as well, he got his shots in. He was landing a few. He's known for his devastating knees and elbows, and that has finished guys like Josh Barnett. We didn't get to see that in this show, but certainly not the last we've seen of Hapa. I think his best days are ahead of him.
We saw a couple interesting things though. That was the first time Hapa was taken down, right? It was taken down. Yeah. And also Werdum tied a record, did he not? With the win streak.
I'm not sure. I know this stat.
I'm trying to remember the stat at the end of the fight, but it was the four in a row. And it's tying the guy who he's going against for the title now.
Yeah. Cain Velasquez.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, interesting things that happened, but like you said, not that explosive fight that we thought we were going to see.
I wanted to go ahead.
That was the thing, that it wasn't as explosive as people thought, and just going into the third round, I was wondering, if Werdum, could he really hang with Cain once that fight comes along, But it's going to be interesting because Cain's coming back from a shoulder injury, I believe. So it's going to be interesting once that fight happens if Werdum's going to be as explosive, right? Coming in against a champion who is coming right off of a surgery. So
I think the match is going to be. It's a match I want to see. Right now. I think it's going to be every bit as exciting as it could be. If we see Werdum show up the Werdum last night show up, I think it's going to be a tough. It'll be a tough challenge for Kane.
No, I think so too, especially coming off of an injury.
Not to take away from Werdum, but I would go back and disagree, and just to say that Travis's injury had more so to do with his windedness. I don't think he's known for something like that. And I think that
that's true.
The broken rib and the broken hand in the first round of the fight, which was almost confirmed by Dana White. I mean, he said it pretty confidently. He didn't say, "Oh, it's skeptic, it's this, it's that." He said he had a broken rib cage and a broken hand in the first round.
That's right.
That's something to me, you know, as someone who is training and has fought. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I have you know what I mean? So I think that would have a lot of effect, even with the adrenaline in place, on you know, on his adrenaline and everything like that. So I don't know.
I would assume so, but you know, you never know. There's a big difference between us watching on the screen or in the seats and those two guys in the cage.
Like we always talk about.
Speaking of two guys in the cage, how about that for a segue here?
What a segue.
Oh,
The fifth man in the studio.
Special guest today.
we've
yes,
been hiding him.
Indeed. He is the self-proclaimed pound-for-pound best hair on television, which is no challenge to my title as the best pound-for-pound because we're on the internet. So I'm going to let him win that one.
Better than my hair?
Kenny Florian has been a household name to UFC fans since 2004, I believe, possibly 2005. He was on the first season of Ultimate Fighter and has competed against some of the top guys and had some classic matches in his, was it Kenny? Shall we say 10-year run in the UFC?
9.
Yeah, well,
9 to
2000.
10?
No, it's less than that. It was 2005 to 2011.
I thought the season, yeah. Well, you're still with the UFC.
Still with the UFC, but I haven't fought since 2011.
Yeah.
So there you go.
The memorable matches against guys like, Sam Stout, Takanori Gomi, Clay Guida. Those guys are always favorites to watch. And I'll just say that, you know, if you get in the argument with Kenny, don't let him go behind you. Stand in front of him. So Ken Flo, pardon me, now analyst and commentator for UFC on Fox shows, or the Fox shows on Fox Sports 1, as well as co-host for UFC Tonight, which is on Tuesdays. And you said moving to Wednesdays?
It's been Wednesdays, yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday nights, yeah.
It's on my DVR. It's that and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
There you
That's
go.
my night.
Because Tuesday nights is Chasing Maria on the Oxygen Network.
Oh,
Nicely done, sir.
at 10 p.m.
Someone's got to pay the bills.
So, privileged to have you here in
Welcome,
the studio.
Kenny.
Thank you.
To the AfterBuzz Studios.
Welcome.
So, what's your thoughts on talk about? We've chatted a bit about last night. What were your thoughts on the show?
And it was a great night. It was a great night for the UFC. I thought that the main event was a little shocking to me. I think I would go even further than what you guys are talking about in that Travis Browne was the favorite. I mean, I don't think there were many people that picked Fabricio Werdum to win. So, the fact that it was competitive was something, but the fact that he was dominant in that win was another thing. And, yeah, of course you had, the rumors about him breaking his hand, which, it looks like that may have happened. But, the broken rib, it seems like it wasn't something that he came in with. I mean, people were saying that about Uriah Faber, against Henan or whenever it was his first fight against Henan Barao. There's like, well, he fought with a broken rib. It's like, well, Henan Barao kicked him in the rib and then he broke that rib. So it was because of something that Henan Barao did.
Right.
So Werdum did do something to do that to Travis Browne. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting because Travis Browne, to me, I felt like his last performance against Josh Barnett was pretty flawless. But we have seen him get dominated in the past. We saw him get dominated by Overeem. A lot of people forget about that. Travis Browne, I feel like, needs to organize his striking into something that's more settled down. I feel like he's so talented, he's so physically gifted, but he throws a lot of techniques at it, but there's no kind of
not a through line
rhythm.
strategy.
Yeah, it's and I think he settled down. I think in the 4th or 5th round a little bit, and looked better in the 4th. I think it was, and he looked better. I just feel like sometimes he gets a little bit. I don't know if he spazzes out or whatever. He's too much nervous energy. But when Travis Browne settles down, he's a dangerous guy. But Werdum just had too many options as far as from his jiu-jitsu game to his striking. He was just all over Travis Browne. It was surprising and a huge win for Werdum.
Would you agree that that was probably one of the best Werdums we've seen?
Without a doubt. And Travis, I mean, Werdum is a gamer, man. You know, he's one of those guys who seems to turn it on when it counts, and definitely had a big performance against a tough guy in Travis Browne. You know?
Yeah.
Now with the UFC being what it is today, you know, probably the biggest sports entertainment company around. You've been in there for a long time, or around the UFC system, taking it all the way back to season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter. So seeing how we're, I think, what, season 19, 20, I believe, of Ultimate Fighter?
Going on to 19, I believe, yeah.
Adding all the
Not
other,
including the
adding all the
internationals.
countries, probably like 24, 25 seasons.
Yeah.
How do you think the reality show itself has evolved from your season to the most present season?
Man, you know what? I think that we've had our ups and downs as far as talent on the shows. Sometimes we haven't had the best guys as far as, you know, fighter-wise. And sometimes we've had great TV. Sometimes we haven't had great TV, you know, on the shows. But, you know, I think they found a pretty good balance of finding entertaining characters and good fighters. I think we've come to kind of a nice happy medium with the seasons lately. But it certainly hasn't turned out huge stars necessarily. I mean, Kelvin Gastelum is maybe one of the more promising guys out of the last several seasons. I don't know if we had that same stuff. Like season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, we had a bunch of guys who end up getting to a very high level on the show. Of course, Matt Serra ended up winning. We've had some winners in the past, but as of late, we haven't had guys that have gotten to that high level. You know, not certainly not a whole lot anyway. So
it's not necessarily
you know,
a guarantee that you're going to get your UFC contract if you're on this
that too.
season's
That has changed
recently.
definitely. Yeah.
And whereas before, also in the first couple seasons, or at least in the first 2 probably, nobody was guaranteed. I remember no one's guaranteed a contract. I remember that first season that you were on, you know, guys were crying like their life had ended when they lost that match in the house.
Right.
And
Now
I
it's
think
like
just about everybody got picked up for at least one match in that first season.
Yeah, and now it's slim pickings. I mean, there's a lot of guys that don't make it. Even if they make it to the finals, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get signed. So it's very competitive. I mean, obviously, you know, each division is getting more and more stacked. So, yeah.
Is it comparable to all the singing and competition shows we see today? Like the #1 spot is the #1 for like a year until the next one comes?
Right. Yeah, I mean, kind of. You know, I can't tell you how many guys who have won the show who are no longer with
Even
the
a
UFC.
name,
Yeah,
right.
even a name. So, it's tough, man. It's a tough business in all aspects. There's no doubt.
Bigger it gets.
I wanted to ask you, Kenny, working on not only, like you said, the reality show, Fox on UFC on Fox, and then you've been a fighter, and the transition. What have you learned production-wise?
Yeah.
You know, transitioning from a fighter to an analyst. You're in the same field, but
Yeah.
In other words, give us some pointers.
Right. No. You guys are doing great.
We don't know what the hell we're doing here, guys.
we're doing great. You said, see, we're doing
yeah,
great.
you guys are doing great. I think
guest.
that you know what really has helped me, everything from fighting to doing the TV work, is repetitions, man. I'm a big thing on drilling. You know, drillers are killers. That's what I used to say all the time, and it's absolutely true. The more repetitions you get, the better you're going to become. And I was lucky that back in 2007 or 2008, I believe, I kind of got recruited by ESPN to start this new show that they were doing called MMA Live, and we were on the internet back then eventually moved to ESPN2, and then Fox brought me over when they signed a deal with UFC. So I was lucky that I had a ton of repetitions. I had a great producer that gave me excellent feedback all the time, told me all the things I was doing wrong and what I needed to do to improve, and I'd go back and watch my shows and all that stuff. So that has helped me a lot, and I feel like I'm still very much a baby at this. So I'm trying to learn every single day, and but it's been fun, man. It's been a fun trip. It's crazy. Yeah.
There's a sign of a good color commentator when somebody who's a fan of the sport or is in it can still learn from color commentary.
Yeah.
And I was thinking on my way over, I actually wanted to put it into the intro here, but for casual fans out there, this is the guy that you want to listen to. Pay attention to his broadcasts. Rogan, I've been involved in the sport since about 05 or 06, promoting side, but I've just learned so much listening to guys like Rogan, and you as well. You break things down. Raven will appreciate this reference, but this is the real cerebral assassin.
Thanks.
And I don't mean that. It's not just lip service, but that's one of the great things for fans. You want to know more about this sport? Listen to the broadcasts. These guys know what they're talking about, and especially having a career like yours. The insight that you can get, it just will open up the sport to you so much more so, and you'll be able to enjoy it on a higher level, really.
And plus, he still gets to travel to all the shows and not have to fight.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't have to get hit in the face as much, which is great.
That's
I'm still
a great bonus.
relatively close to the cage. Yeah, sometimes I get some blood on me, but that's all right.
It's not your blood.
Right, exactly. As long as it's not my blood. Yeah.
Always the other guys. But that's something about you as a fighter, is that you were always an intellectual fighter. I felt that it so much comes through in your character. I mean, you were a college educated man. You went to Boston College, communications major. So I feel like go Boston.
Yeah.
Boston, come on now.
I feel like
Sorry.
Let me pull up the rankings where the Yankees are at right now.
The guy with the
It's
Celtics,
still early.
the
It's still
Celtics
very
color
early.
on.
Yeah, it's a Celtics jersey.
Come
Yeah.
on for Kenny.
All right.
Irishman on Easter. No, but I just felt like all of your fights that I've seen have been so educated.
Yeah, thanks.
It's like he said, you've planned, you've thought about it. You're obviously known for your killer elbows.
I didn't have a tremendous amount of like physical strength or anything like that, so I felt like I kind of had to rely on technical ability and strategy and things like that. So
It worked.
it helped me. It helped me out. I didn't have some of the physical gifts as the other guys. Are just a Romero who could just throw you around whenever he wants. Yeah.
Now, being the commentator that you are now, the analyst, besides Chael Sonnen, do you see anyone else that has the ability to cross over from a fighter to an analyst?
I think there's a lot of intelligent guys out there who know the sport, who are students of the game, and I think that's the most important thing is a guy who gets it, a guy who knows how to communicate when it counts, a guy who knows how to teach a little bit, a guy who knows the game, and I think that's the most important thing. There are a bunch of college-educated guys out there, and I know that Fox and the UFC have been looking for more people. So I know that they're out there. It just sometimes it's funny. Sometimes I'll see a guy who's very well educated, can speak very well, he knows the game. And then once that red light comes on, man, I won't name names, but I've seen.
But it rhymes with.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen some bad tryouts,
All right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Maybe our former guest, Rich Franklin, you said someone that knows how to teach.
Rich does a great job. Rich. I've seen Rich do some stuff. He did a couple episodes, I think, of MMA Live back in the day for ESPN.
Okay.
So yeah, he knows his stuff. A smart guy and knows how to communicate for sure.
All right, we'll have to give him a call.
Yeah.
Why we're talking about MMA, because the topic's going to change to something else. I wanted to ask you about women's MMA. Now that Ronda Rousey is blasting through the bantamweights, I mean, do you see anybody in her path, present or future, that is even a challenge for her?
Man,
Including Gina
as far as signed talent right now.
No, including Gina.
Including Gina Carano.
Yes.
I think Gina is very talented. I think she's very good. I think that would be a huge fight if she got signed by the UFC. Quite possibly the biggest fight you can make in the UFC right now, men or women. But here's the problem with Ronda Rousey is that she is so damn talented and has so many years of competing at this level.
Right.
For years, okay? Here's a girl that at 16 years old was on a plane cutting weight for the World Championships or for the Olympics. All right? To have that mental mindset is a completely different level that few male athletes in the UFC understand. You have the Yoel Romeros, Daniel Cormier, guys who have been there. It's a completely different level when you're talking about the Olympics, and she keeps getting better. She's getting more comfortable in the octagon. Man, Honestly, no, I don't. Not at 135 pounds. I don't see it happening. She is a beast, man, in all aspects, and a lot of it comes from just up here.
The mental
level.
Absolutely.
There's very few people who even understand that realm
Where
that
she
she's
is.
at. It's just
I agree
scary,
with you.
man.
I was talking to Jay earlier about it, and I said her mental capacity, her confidence when she walks in the cage, it's scary. You
It's
feel
insane.
it.
Yeah.
You feel it. And even like Misha Tate and all the others, they can put on the confident front.
Right.
But Ronda Rousey, you believe it.
Oh yeah.
She
And
walks in there.
she on her last on the Ultimate Fighter with Misha, you know, she had a couple of her guys that weren't making weight, weren't able to make the weight.
Yeah.
So she was so fed up that she got on a scale. She had everybody come over. She walked on the scale. She got on there, showed her weight. She had to cut 17 pounds to get down to 135 or 136. 17 pounds, and she did it within a day. Just to show,
They shot
just
that
to show
whole thing
them.
in a day?
It was something like, it was like a day and a half. They didn't
Yeah.
show that on the Ultimate Fighter. They didn't show that on the show.
Shut
But it was like a day and a half or something. She's like, I will make weight. I will show you guys what it takes to do the mental weight. During that time period, as she cut like 11 pounds.
She was in the sauna for a long time.
She was in the sauna for a long time. She went and competed against Misha. Remember that little
Coach's
climbing
challenge.
thing, the coach's
Yeah.
challenge? She did that completely dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
Won it, came back,
Whoa.
cut the rest of the weight, made the weight,
Yeah.
you know, talked to her
Unbelievable.
team.
Wow.
So that's how you do it.
Unbelievable.
You
This
guys
is
are
who we're
basically
dealing with.
wimps. This is the mental level that you need.
You need
Wow.
to-
That's the kind of athlete that Ronda Rousey is.
Wow.
Just to make a point on
Yeah.
on a weekday.
Wow.
And to bring it back,
Yeah.
Gina Carano, at one point, well, she had a great career in Muay Thai. She's been away from the sport for a long time.
Sure.
Your argument would be that Gina, do you think that it's the time lapse since she's been in the sport that would be kind of the Achilles heel for her?
It's a lot
or-
to ask. It's a lot to ask of any athlete to have that kind. I mean, years of not preparing for a fight, years of Ronda Rousey getting better.
Yeah.
Gina's been so focused on making movies and other things
Right.
that it's a lot to ask of Gina to go in. Okay, here we're gonna feed you Ronda Rousey. That's a tough thing. I would like to see
Yeah.
Gina compete
Ronda
against
Rousey
someone
gets
else.
fed people. Nobody
Right,
feeds.
yeah, exactly.
It's so
exactly.
true.
Exactly.
It is so true. They come
Exactly.
and they go. They come and they go.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're two different kinds of fighters. They're two different
Yeah.
kinds of athletes.
Yeah.
Gina Carano was a girl who was, I think, in her 20s, and was sitting around drinking beer still.
Right.
Where Ronda Rousey was on a private jet plane flying to the Olympics, cutting weight.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, these are
Yeah.
two different
Yeah.
kinds of athletes.
Yeah, she's an animal.
Wow.
She's an animal.
What's your take on the new season, the all women's season coming out? That shoots, I think, summertime, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
coming up.
We haven't shot that yet.
It's cool, man. I love to see that, you know, women are coming to the UFC. They're getting more divisions in the UFC. I think that's going to garner some interest and giving those women an opportunity at 125.
Yeah.
Right? 125? Or 115?
115, I believe.
115,
That's
sorry.
probably-
Which is great, you know, and we're going to have a champion. For the first time in history, the Ultimate Fighter will determine a champion, not, you know, have the ability to fight for a championship someone down the line. This will determine the winner of the show will become the new champion
That's
in the UFC
interesting.
at 115, which is
Okay.
cool. So, yeah.
Do you think, in that regard, with this season, with that season of Ultimate Fighter, it's the first time for an all-women's show? I guess we got a little preview of what it's like having women as fighters in the house on the preview on Ronda's season. But do you think that we're going to see more of more fighters in the recent seasons? What I mean is that kind of mature, focused fighter, and a little bit less of the Lieben or
Right.
the Lieben antics. Who's the other guy? Junie
Yeah,
Browning.
I guess, you know.
Or is this a pioneering thing that we might see some craziness? I mean, that's 16 women in one house.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's possible.
I should ask
know.
you that question too, right?
I was wanting to answer.
It's possible there may be some crazy antics, but I mean, if you're getting the opportunity of a lifetime and you're on the show, why would you even go there? You know what I mean?
That's
Like
exactly
your
what I was
focus,
gonna say.
your focus should be on winning that belt and having the opportunity to get into the UFC and all those things. So, I mean, you have to find that balance, right? I mean, because you have to promote yourself. You have to promote yourself as a character and get people behind you, either for better or worse, be the villain or be the good guy. But at the same time, man, your focus has to be on winning more than anything else. That's what's going to pay the
Yeah.
bills.
I think especially with women's. I mean, we
Yeah.
go in as speaking someone that's going towards that same goal. we also have, we still have a lot of America doubting us. It's
Right.
still a very controversial thing. So I think anybody that has, Ronda Rousey's mind state, we take it very seriously.
Yeah.
And I think especially the women are going to go in there and behave more.
Yeah, you're right. They
Because
have to
of-
be taken seriously
Yeah.
even more for that reason. Yeah, for
Or
sure.
this thing's going to flop, like,
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just brought up about characters, and do you think fighters now need to have some type of character, a la the Chael Sonnens, the badass Ronda Rouseys,
Bisping. Michael.
Bisping, yeah,
Right.
exactly. GSP, the Canadian hero.
Sure.
Do you think
The
because
Kenny Florian.
I know, yeah, Kenny Florian.
Don't
the
do
guy-
that route. Whatever you do, do not
The
do
guy
that
who
route.
can go straight.
Yeah,
from
that
the-
really didn't work for you, huh?
What do you got?
How's the catering?
Well,
at Fox, huh?
I had to talk a little trash. You bring up a great point.
Because I know Dana
Yeah.
gets mad at someone wins a fight and they're like, oh, I want to thank my mom, I want to thank
Right.
the Easter Bunny, I want to thank someone else, and Dana's sitting back there and be like, don't think the guy, you want to kick his
Right.
ass.
How about who would you like to fight next? And they go, whoever the UFC gives me. It's
Exactly.
like, we know that.
Yeah,
Everybody knows you're going to fight whoever the UFC gives you. How about you call out a name and make things interesting?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Kenny, why
Right.
don't they do that?
Exactly.
You're the
I
guy
did it.
closest to it.
Yeah, I did it. I had to do it every once in a while. I used to say, I finish fights and I want to kill the master, or whatever the heck it was. But it was my attempt at getting people behind me or against me or getting that opportunity to fight for the belt, and you have to do that. And fighters don't get that. You have to go out there and you have to be your own PR, you have to be your own marketing, you have to be your own business guy. You have to kind of do it all as a fighter. And you have a good team around you, but to go out there and not take advantage of a mic in your hand in front of millions of people and go, I'll fight whoever the UFC gives me.
Because I noticed a lot of fighters,
Come on,
they'll win the fight and they'll be a little bit boring in their post-fight interview
Yeah.
with Rogan, and then you can tell in the post-fight press conference, they're a little bit changed.
They got some
Yeah.
energy.
Right,
realize
sure. Well,
that
that's the other thing. Is
they
maybe
realize
they're,
something
yeah.
happened.
Right.
Then
That's true.
the press conference afterwards, not as many people are watching it because
Yeah.
it's most likely on the Fight Pass
Yes.
plug
Yeah.
that you can get for how much per month?
$9.99 a month.
$9.99 a month.
But then our show's on at the same time, so they're watching this. one.
Or we'll bring them here and Maria would tell them how to cut a promo or something. But not too many people are watching the Fight Pass as they are watching the pay-per-view or a Fox special.
Right.
So it's like it really doesn't count in the post-fight press conference. And
Yeah.
when you're in there with Dana and the lights are on and you just want to fight, I mean, come on, why not
You're right.
someone
A lot of it's
Right.
kind of just, making the mistakes and going, okay, shoot, I didn't do a great interview. Next time I'm going to be ready for it. Some of it's inexperience, right? But some of the guys, listen, we're all respectful martial artists. We want to be humble and all that stuff. But if you want to make money in the sport, if you want to fight for a belt in the sport, if you want to get fans in this sport, just to kind of get that interest so you can get the big time sponsors and all that stuff, it all goes hand in hand with promoting yourself.
Yeah.
Promotion.
'Cause I know
and a lot of fighters don't get
Right.
that.
A lot of
and it's
people
tough.
were mad at Brock Lesnar for bringing his WWE character
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
yeah.
octagon.
Right.
But Brock Lesnar sold tickets. Brock Lesnar
The biggest
sold,
thing. The big. He sold more
Right.
pay-per-view buys than anything, and you know what? That went into his pocket. At the end of the day, whether you hated him or loved him, that went into his pocket.
worked in his favor.
I thought also too that, well, first off, it was so smart because they got a crossover audience. You had your WWE fans, your sports entertainment, and your sports fans. But it was one of those things where the UFC, I think they liked it, but they didn't want to admit that they liked it.
Sure.
you know?
Yeah. You're right. I mean, listen. There's a lot of different ways to promote yourself, and I think
As a
that's what
samurai.
fighter. Yeah, exactly. However you want to do it.
I
You
I
know?
loved it.
I
I
saw
Yeah,
the video
yeah.
last night. You came out and
For those of you
you dressed as a samurai, and me being
don't know.
a wrestling
That was
fan.
actually my
Yeah.
robe. That was actually my bathrobe from the hotel. I just put that on. No, but yeah, I mean, look at a guy like Conor McGregor, who's come on
Right.
the scene just recently, but everyone's talking about that kid, and is he talking trash? Sure, and he probably believes a lot of the stuff that he says, and man, but he can fight. And he's going to be a superstar because of the way that he promotes himself and because of what he says when he has the mic. And
Doesn't hurt also
he's a
that he's
marketable
got
guy.
that accent.
Right,
He
right,
stands
exactly.
out in a crowd.
He's yeah.
Everybody, I
No
think you naturally feel, as a fan, you feel that charisma from certain people that you just don't
That's
feel
right.
from others.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
they come out there and they either have an extreme athletic ability that you admire, or they have that crazy charisma that you admire.
It's the
Whether
it factor.
It's the it factor.
Yeah.
You either have it or you don't.
A few athletes like in other sports in the NBA, like when Charles Barkley would do things, or Shaquille O'Neal, these guys had, or Reggie Miller, and they had over-the-top personalities, and these were the few guys that played the game but also understood what you're talking about with the camera. So you being one of those guys, it reminds me of other sports where most of them are athletes. They're all great athletes, but they're just athletes. So you got the few of them that get both angles of it.
Yeah, you got it. You got to understand both sides of it.
And I think that's why.
If you want to make money, if you don't want to make money, you're not here to make money. You just got
Fine, go and play your game.
Exactly.
Right.
I think that's going back to Ronda. That's one thing I can tell she totally understands because yes, she is the badass inside the octagon and leading up to the octagon. I think one of her greatest moments was when she was in Strikeforce and she was backstage doing an interview and she was just burning a hole through the interview. Forgot the chick's name.
I think Heidi Androl.
Heidi, yeah.
She just burned a hole through Heidi, and you could see it.
Yeah.
It was coming through on TV. But if you watch who her friends are now, with Marina and Shayna and Jessamine, who are they've taken a wrestling gimmick and called themselves the Four Horsewomen.
Yeah.
And just yesterday.
What time is it now? How long did it take for that one to kick in?
But yesterday on their Instagram, it's Ronda and Shayna wrestling in the ring at the Fight Club in Glendale.
Yeah.
And and Ronda's smart, because Shayna's her big wrestling fan. They're sucking in the wrestling audience so much that it's bringing in the UFC product. Because, right now, people can laugh and deny everything. The WWE has left pay-per-view. That left everything for the UFC to conquer the pay-per-view buy rates now.
Right.
UFC has nothing else but to go even higher. And that's the thing. It's like everyone's saying, a GSP Anderson Silva fight could sell out or do very well in Dallas Stadium. Whether that fight's going to happen or not, we don't know. But I think a mega fight with Ronda Rousey could even do better, buys or ticket sales in the same stadium.
There's a lot to learn from the WWE, for sure. For fighters, think about this: they're putting on fights that everybody knows is fake. But people are still tuning in to watch. Why is that?
If it's a sport.
Right,
they're
right.
watching it.
They're watching it because they're bringing them in. It's their personalities bringing them in.
Right.
So if you can do that with a fake fight, how could you not do that with a real fight?
And it just goes to show you, just the fact that UFC has a reality show is telling you it's about personality.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
And
It's
Dana,
right in front of your face.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Dana White makes that clear. That this persona, he loves the gimmicks. He loves the acts.
Yeah.
He taunts it. He says it at every press conference.
Dana's a gimmick himself. He's, the guy is awesome. His press conferences, his interviews alone, it's like, we're in talks of actually getting Dana in studio here, and
I was gonna say, watch it.
I was thinking, maybe we could set up a little jar here, and he has to donate $100 every time.
Swear jar?
A swear jar, because I think
I like that. That's good. And we take that down to Zealand and Beverly Hills. We can actually now afford smoothies. And blends. It pays for itself. That's good synergy,
That's
bud.
funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Folks, really quick, I got to plug us on iTunes. Go to the search section, type in UFC AfterBuzz, listen to the show, rate us, give us 5 stars, because the more stars you get us, the more UFC stars we have as guests.
That is true.
And of course, YouTube. Check us out at check out all the AfterBuzz shows on YouTube. Search AfterBuzz TV to get to the official page. Kenny, I want to ask you, on a personal level, not talking so much about the UFC and your professional career. You are talking to Raven here with his Boston Celtics shirt on.
Hey, I just want to say real quick, I pulled it up. Yankees are in first place, okay? And Boston is, wow, 2.5 games behind.
It's early. It's early.
They always want to
Very
say
early.
Boston fans always want to say it's early, but then when they're in first place, we're better than the Yankees.
We're the world champs. What else can you say? We're the world champs right now.
For now.
But Maria's from Boston, so I'll give it to you guys today.
There we go.
Well, this kind of sets you, setting yourself up for doom here, but you're talking so great about Boston. How do you like the transformation from Boston to LA?
Man,
Have you gone Hollywood yet?
I love Boston. But I can't deal with the weather. I'm so happy that I'm here.
No kidding.
Yeah. Well, the first year and a half I think is tough coming to LA because it's a new town, it's different culture, it's definitely different. But how do you not love the weather? Every single day it's sunny, it's perfect weather, a lot of beautiful things to see. So many different beaches and great restaurants, and man, I love it here. I really do. 34, 35 years of being in Boston and seeing the different seasons and all that stuff is great.
How long have you been in LA?
I've been here almost 2.5 years.
Wow.
No,
Now,
it's crazy.
did you move because of the job, or
Yeah. Otherwise, flying back and forth from Boston every week would have been a lot.
because
Across
of
the country. So
it was for Fox, right?
yeah. So I
'cause
do the weekly show. UFC Tonight on Fox Sports 1 every Wednesday. So it would have been tough going back and forth. So I ended up getting a place out here, and I still have a place in Boston, but
Oh, poor
I'm here.
you.
Yeah. It's all
Now
alone.
bi-coastal.
It's all alone. Yeah.
How do you spend the first couple of years here? Like, what's your downtime?
Let's see. What did I do?
I'm sure
when I
you had
first
a lot
came
of
out here?
doors open up here. I mean, a little
Kenny-
Kenny Florian's in town.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
that
right.
thing.
All right, I'm like a Z-level celebrity here. Yeah,
AFTERBUZZ.
right. Yeah, exactly. It's for the Z. Man, it was different being out here. Just the ability to go to all the different Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academies out here is cool. And just meeting. This is such a hub for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu all over the world. So a lot of great practitioners over here. A lot of friends that I had over here. So that was cool, and definitely got a little chubby when I got out here with all the great food that I was eating. But
You're not vegan yet?
Tommy's or
Not Italian food.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
We're from
that's
the
true.
East Coast. I mean,
There's a couple good Italian places
You
that
got
I've
to
been
let me
to,
know
but
later.
I try to. If I eat too much Italian,
Everyone can.
You got to be camera ready still.
Yeah, I
that's
know.
the thing, right?
Everyone
I
can
know.
tweet at AfterBuzz and tell us some good Italian spots for Kenny
There we
to
go.
go to.
There we go.
He knows.
What
He's
other?
gonna tell us.
I got a couple.
What other sports do you like other than the UFC or
Let's see.
MMA?
I try to follow what Boston's doing a lot. Right now, I'm watching the NHL playoffs. I get a couple buddies on the Bruins who I try to support as much as possible. And what other sports do I like? Wrestling. I like wrestling. Not a lot of people like actual wrestling, but like freestyle wrestling and
actual?
Greco-Roman wrestling. But
You mean professional?
I used to like pro wrestling when I was a kid, but yeah, so I watch that. I try to watch a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions and stuff like that. Stuff that's going to help me kind of. I love it first. Number one, that's the reason I watch it, but also it helps me do what I do.
Grow.
So yeah,
Well, you
learn
were a
and
college
do stuff.
soccer player.
I did. I played soccer. I love soccer.
I was
There you
gonna
go.
say, don't
Yeah,
leave
that.
one out.
Yeah, I love watching UEFA Premier League and the Spanish league. So I do watch a lot of soccer. So yeah.
How about some predictions for the
Yep.
next UFC?
Got
a
UFC
UFC coming up.
172.
That was the next thing to talk about.
And now,
All right.
Oh.
your AfterBuzz TV.
Who's that voice?
What's going on here? It's the Easter Bunny.
You guys hear this?
I'm about to be abducted.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
I like that.
All right.
All right.
Well, that was the prediction.
Shout out to our producer in the booth
That was
there.
our crystal ball.
It was.
Right when you
It
said
was.
prediction, the voice came. So here we go.
That is what it was.
UFC 172 is coming up just this coming Saturday on pay-per-view.
Yes.
Prelims will be on Fox Sports 1, I believe. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that
And,
mean we have to work next Sunday?
we will be back 1 week from now. Goodbye, folks. Just kidding. Oh yeah, those predictions. Of course, the show is headlined by John Jones defending his light heavyweight title against Glover Teixeira, who's considered another fast-rising star, finally getting his chance in the UFC.
Yeah.
The co-main event is Phil Davis, another light heavyweight match. Phil Davis against Anthony Johnson. Phil has been a guy that he really got into the UFC around the same time as John, and I personally have felt that they're kind of neck and neck. John's had a sharper rise up, but I think Phil is on that same trajectory.
Yeah.
And then Luke Rockhold, versus Tim Boach at middleweight, 185, just below that. You certainly must have studied the card, or you know it off the top of your head, and have some thoughts about what's coming up for this Saturday?
I will for Wednesday for UFC Tonight. I'll know it all.
Exactly.
But
There you go.
I'll be doing my research there. No, yeah, I'm really excited about this card. It's an awesome card. It's going to Baltimore, I believe, for the first time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first
So
time in
that is
Baltimore.
very cool. Spreading the wealth a little bit. John Jones, of course, his brother plays for Baltimore, so that'll be neat. And man, I think it's going to be a great show. I think it's going to be a great show. I think the biggest story is obviously the main event for obvious reasons, it being for the title. But how John Jones is going to come back after that war with Gustafsson. And there was some talk amongst people who knew Jones, who were kind of close to him, saying that he may have not only been busted up physically, but may have been busted up mentally a little bit after that fight. You know, maybe questioning himself a little bit. You know, there's some rumors about that maybe John Jones wasn't the same after the fight, and you never know what a fight's going to do to you. I think we're going to see a better John Jones. I think that John Jones is only going to rise and get better and learn from that fight against Gustafsson, which I still think that, you know, that was super close fight, but when I called it, when I scored it, I saw it a couple times, I still had John Jones just edging him out. But that really was one that could have gone either way. But
easily that was his toughest one
oh
today.
My God, yeah, without a doubt. And now John Jones is going against a guy in Glover Teixeira who has a ton of confidence. He's got knockout power. He has tremendous wrestling. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who will beat you up on the mat or will submit you. And everyone who has trained with Glover Teixeira believes in him. I mean, everyone who's trained with Glover Teixeira, who's been around him, says he will absolutely beat John Jones. And when you go around throwing those words, that means a lot. Because to me, John Jones is the most talented dude in the UFC. Period. And that guy is another level of talent and athleticism and skill. You know, I'm very, very intrigued by Saturday night's main event. It's gonna happen. Yeah, coming up. So.
What would you say for the co-main between Phil Davis, Anthony Johnson? Is
man,
he's an interesting storyline unto itself.
Yeah,
right?
and that's another great fight. Anthony Johnson, who came into the UFC at 170 pounds, had trouble making in 170, of course.
3 weight classes below for the casual fans.
Yeah, and I don't know how he made it when he did. And then he fought at 185 and was having trouble making 185. That's how big he was. And finally, someone's like, dude, you're a 205-pounder. Just fight at 205. And he's been knocking everybody out. He actually fought at heavyweight and won a couple fights at heavyweight, knocking guys out. So this guy is a beast, very talented. Certainly a better striker than Phil Davis. But Phil Davis is a very smart competitor. Obviously a tremendous wrestler with an excellent pedigree in wrestling. So that's an intriguing fight. As far as who's going to take it, I guess I'll go with Phil Davis. I could see it going the other way, but I think Phil is coming into his own right now. He's getting better, and I kind of see Phil Davis winning this by decision.
Yeah. When you mentioned it, actually, we were talking about Anthony coming back. It occurred to me there's that maturity curve as well that a lot of fighters have to get through to really break into the higher echelon. And Anthony certainly had that, I think, in a very public forum with all of his the weight issues in the past, and then leaving the UFC, fighting outside, and coming back.
Right.
That's got to be quite a lesson that he's got under his belt by now.
Yeah, absolutely, and he must appreciate the opportunity of being here back in the UFC. You know, and this is where he belongs. Definitely, there's no doubt. I think he's paid his dues. He went on a tremendous win streak, knocked out some very tough guys, and for him to go in there and knock out Phil Davis, that puts him into the picture immediately. So
right away.
Another awesome opportunity for him, not only coming back but having that fight against someone like Phil Davis is huge for him. And again, I could see AJ getting the win against Phil as well. So.
Luke Rockhold and Tim Boetsch.
You know, I think we've seen a little bit of a dip in Tim Boetsch. I think Luke Rockhold is still probably a little sour from his knockout loss to Vitor Belfort. I think that Luke Rockhold is one of the more talented and athletic dudes in the UFC. You know, he comes from a family of athletes, and Luke has been training very hard. He's been looking like a beast from what I hear over at AKA, and I think that it's Luke's fight to lose. I think Luke should win it. He should be able to beat Tim Boetsch, but Tim's got power in his hands, man. We saw him against Okami. He was losing the fight, came back for a knockout win against Okami. So Boetsch is a guy who's never gonna quit. He's going to stay, you know, he's going to try to win all the way to the end, and he's got that knockout power that you got to watch out for. And he does have good wrestling, but Luke's a tough guy to fight at 185, man. I think Luke should get the win.
Yeah. It's an exciting lineup, even if for casual fans, some of these names may not be the guys that you recognize right off the top. Go back and study them and be prepared for Saturday, because this, like we saw yesterday, I think there's a lot of fireworks in store for this one.
I think it's going to be a good show. You know, it's one of those sleeper shows because, you know, there's so much UFC on right now, so much product.
There
you know,
is.
between the Fox, between the pay-per-views, between Fox Sports 1. There's a lot of UFC
Fight Pass
going.
available
Fight
for
Pass.
$9.99 at UFC.com.
Exactly.
Nice plug.
There's so much going on, but you know we have like these sleeper shows, and I think like the show last night. I think when they go to a town for the first time, everyone tries to give it their all, and you have John Jones going into his hometown defending his title.
His brother's where his brother is training in the football team.
Yeah.
He's from Rochester, New York, Upstate.
Well-
Shout out to Nick Tahoe's garbage plate.
Oh wow, what is that?
I'll tell you later.
But you know, it's going to be very, very interesting, and you know, I think this is going to be. I'm going to go out and say it could be one of the better pay-per-views of the year.
Yeah.
John Jones always puts on an interesting fight, whether
Oh,
whether
yeah.
it's win,
Super
lose.
compelling.
Everything John Jones does is great, especially his Twitter page. If you read,
I'm not going to go there.
if you read that the past week,
I have a question for our guest, though, real quick. You were talking earlier about the weight classes. You are a man who fluctuated weight classes more than anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you fought 4 different weight classes, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure 4 titles in different weight.
So two titles. So
Two titles.
two titles in two different weight classes. 3 title fights, 2 different weight classes.
Okay.
But
The fourth one was tough.
yeah, so
tough
on the
finale.
Ultimate Fighter, people were like, man, I can't believe you lost all that weight. But I was like, a lot of it was I was kind of forced to do it because they had it at 185, and I was, again, a natural 155-pounder. That really should have been my weight class all along. But people forget that the lowest weight class they had back in the day was 170. So
Right.
the opportunity of being on the Ultimate Fighter, they said, hey, listen, we love you for the show. Would you want to do it? It's going to be at 185. And, of course, me not having a lot of experience was like, yeah, I'll try it. Yeah, sure.
Again,
yeah.
that thing where we didn't know what was going to happen
Right,
with the series
exactly.
and the stars.
You're right.
Right.
And so I just tried that. So that was the first weight class. And then, obviously, immediately after the show wrapped, I was like, 170. Fought at 170 a couple times. And then once they brought 155 back, I was at 155 for the majority of my career, where I should have been.
Right.
And at 145, it was a little bit too low.
Was it more difficult?
That was brutal.
Was it more difficult for you to keep the weight off or put it on?
It was way tougher to keep it off. Getting down to 145 pounds was the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life,
Wow.
and hopefully will be the most difficult thing I've ever done. That was tough, man. I was on for months, 1,500 calories a day, and training 3 times a day was tough.
Well, you got your
real quick, is prior. I know we have to wrap it up really, really soon.
Yeah.
How is the catering at Fox?
It's good, man. They take care of us.
Keeping the weight off.
They take care of us, and a big reason why I kind of blew up in weight when I first came to LA was because of that
'Cause of
that
Fox.
catering. Yeah, they have some really evil stuff there that they bring us.
Well, Kenny, we all want to thank you very much for stopping in. It's been a
Absolutely.
pleasure talking to you.
Thank you guys. Great talking to you guys.
Stop by anytime. And UFC 172 live from Baltimore, only on pay-per-view. We will be back here, like you said, next Sunday.
I think we have a special guest too. We'll probably talk about that later this week on Twitter.
Well, we'll be back April 27th. to recap.
Tootin'.
And who knows?
There's
who
your
knows?
clue.
But don't forget also Chasing Maria Menounos Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. on the Oxygen Network.
It's on my DVR.
And I just want to let everybody know, myself personally, you can catch me doing color commentary for the NBA D-Leagues. LA Lightning, we're going to be doing games in Venice Beach and Thousand Oaks. Go to lalightning.net.
And you can catch me on Twitter at Raven1220.
You can check out my website, dariaray.com.
University of MMA comes back Fight Night 7 on Sunday, June 1st, Club Nokia downtown. Also, Mom, don't forget to turn off the oven.
And Kenny, if you want to address anybody right now. Some of your fans?
Thank you guys. Thank you to AfterBuzz TV and the UFC for everything they've done for me and my career, and
Any Twitter
all
page?
the big dogs.
Instagram?
Yeah, you can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram at Kenny Florian. Everything
Kenny
all together. So there you
Florian.
go. Boom.
All right. Wait, guys, just want to say, keep up to date with our show because we are going to have some special guests coming
Yes,
up.
we will.
We're doing some private interviews this week as well.
That's
All right.
So we will see you next time. And like Daria just said, stay tuned because some very special guests are going to be joining us again and again right here at UFC AfterBuzz. We'll see you next week, fans.
Raiders on iTunes.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.